first and foremost, a huge welcome and thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much.
You are welcome very much. And so for folks who are really curious about these shows, and very intimate venue too that you're heading into, give us an idea what's in store.
Well, first of all, it's one guy, one guitar. That's kind of the extent of it. And I try to cover pretty much as much of my song catalog as I can in the time allotted. I usually try to explain a tune or two about how they came about to be, and but it's pretty much, try to cover some Spoonful stuff and some sort of middle period stuff and some stuff they haven't heard, and that's sort of the program.
Sounds good, my man. A lot of people doing these stripped down shows in there, and it's a perfect spot for something like that. And I was looking at you've got an incredible history, not to mention some of the great experiences you've had as a musician, but dialing in on your earliest years, you not only grew up around some heavy musical characters that I'm hoping to hear about, but from what I read, I am guessing that your father, John, and his talents as a classical harmonica player ended up having a huge impact on you pursuing a music career yourself.
Yeah, I'd say that's true. You got to remember there's still just a simple father-son relationship going on at the same time, but I certainly profited from listening to a guy practice for 6 to 8 hours a day. That teaches you something even before you've had somebody explain how to hold your lips or something like that.
Right. Was he proud of what you ended up? It had to be kind of like a chip off the old block or whatever you would think of it as for him.
Well, he did enjoy it eventually. I was very glad to have a valid critic.
Right.
And the Spoonful really had that, because Dad would come down to Spoonful shows and say, "Now, fellas, you can't, I know you want to seem like big bad blues men, but don't start with the blues. You really got to pump them up a little before you try to bring them down." So that was part of it, was just savvy about musical things in general, and the construction of a set more specifically.
That's great. And those are some prime lessons, as you said, for a guy who spent a lot of time practicing, entertaining people, and had a hugely successful role. And how about the one thing I hadn't seen as much, and I wonder how it might have influenced you, and certainly being in radio, I was attracted. My mom had been in radio too, so I see your mom worked in radio as a scriptwriter. Any impact from her that you can point to?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You learn what's funny. That's, the people who were showing up at my house, many of them were guys that bumped up scripts and things like that, so they were really funny people.
And so that was a way that
was great.
Yeah, a way that she influenced you. And when you think about each of them in terms of any formative singular experiences that stick out in terms of a big lesson, or perhaps finding that motivation to then pursue music as a full-time career, can you point to anything from either of them that was just a turning point moment?
Oh, look, for with both of them, I did not have the cartoon relationship that was so often portrayed in our growing up. This is for somebody who was 16 in 1960, mind you, but this was a real thing, that I had parents who weren't going to say, "Oh, my God, you're going to play the guitar and try to make a living that way, or it's impossible. You should go into, your dad's a butcher, you should be a butcher," or any of that kind of stuff. I, had a lot of wonderful players that worked with me that would often say stuff like, boy, I just would love it if I get a little bit of approval from Dad, you know.
Right. No, that's a way that you totally lucked out in having that. That's a great point to make too, because it was funny. I forget who it was who was on, but different artists have had the opposite, as you point out, reaction from their parents, and understandably, especially back in different eras like that, where it hadn't been as a proven path that your child could maybe take to success. There are some names, I mentioned it earlier, and again, forgive me if I have any of this stuff wrong when I was researching you, but I saw a couple of big names that, according to your Wikipedia page, were named as musicians that you were surrounded by growing up, and it said Burl Ives and Woody Guthrie.
Burl Ives was a pal of the family, and he eventually talked Dad into housing an unknown songwriter from Oklahoma, and suddenly we had Woody Guthrie in the house for a week or so.
Wow. And give us a little bit more on that story, which sounds pretty incredible.
There isn't really much more. I didn't spend a lot of time. For one thing, I remember going to sleep. Remember, I'm 5. I'm not like...
Okay, you're real young.
Anything. I'm real young. I hear a guy in the other room, and he's playing a guitar and singing, and I listened to it for a minute, and my reaction was, not as good as Dad. That's all. So, you know, sometimes you need the whole rep before you know.
No, I like that. I like that for sure. And that's great about the age difference thing. I guess that leads one into just thinking, did Arlo end up ever being part of your life?
Well, not until I met him when he was 16. We met at Woodstock.
Wow. He was 16 at Woodstock?
Yeah.
Man, oh man.
Well, no, I met him when he was 16. I think that was still Woodstock. I'm pretty sure.
That's pretty cool, man. That's a Hobo's Lullaby. What was the name of that? My mother and father had that one record of his. Anyway, so when I saw the Woody, it made me think of that. And you, really one of the cool things is, you know, you have a reputation for certain kinds of music. You also, on your father, I guess it says connections of your father leading to Lightnin' Hopkins and Sonny Terry?
That's right. Dad's, his instrument was the harmonica, and so very often there would be harmonica, events where 5 or 6 stylists would play, and there'd be a pop guy, and there'd be a kind of a harmonicats type guy, and there'd be a blues guy, and that was always funny because that's who we knew at that time. Yeah,
that's incredible. And you end up, Greenwich Village has a special place for many different musicians. Are there any, when you flash back to that part of your life, any stories or encounters with heavy cats that help put you on the road that you look back at either with a smile or you're grateful came your way?
Oh, yeah, but I ain't going to tell them to you because that's what I do when I work. And your audience and hopefully mine will hear all about it.
When they come to your show. That's okay. Well,
that's right.
Well, I'll keep running with questions. Hopefully some of these we can find out some more about your fascinating life. Talk about putting together the Lovin' Spoonful originally, and who came up with that band name?
That was Mississippi John Hurt's tune, Coffee Blues.
And that's what you used as the inspiration for the name?
That's right, yeah.
And after the Lovin' Spoonful, you composed music and lyrics for a Broadway production, Jimmy Shine, that starred Dustin Hoffman? Yeah.
Didn't turn out to be very visible. Unfortunately, this is a very good playwright, but, every moment can't be golden, and I guess he just didn't have what was needed for a sustained show. But it was great fun, being able to work with Dustin Hoffman, and there were a lot of laughs had, but it kind of was unsatisfying for a musician because they really weren't. This was not a musical by any means. In fact, my my producer told me that immediately when I was invited, and I said, "Oh, that's okay. I don't need, a big band or anything. I work with, it's like 4 guys." And the producer says, "Could you do it with 3?"
Like trying to keep the budget down, or what was the...
Do you get the idea?
Yeah, totally. I do get the idea. Dustin was young then too, huh?
Yeah.
Had he done Little Big Man? Was that right around when that was?
No, that hadn't happened yet.
Right, so it's right before that, really, like by a year or two, it seems like. Something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, yeah. You're
I'm not an authority on his...
No, I understand.
Of his career.
But you got to spend some time with him during that, and that was fun for you.
Yeah, sure.
You're listed as your appearance at Woodstock being somewhat unusual, that you weren't on the advance bill but end up playing there. Share that story.
That was very simple. I was there to be a member of the audience, and I was also on stage frequently because all my friends were there. The music business was tiny at that moment, and everybody knew each other, and there wasn't really much need for security because it just wasn't a Beatles moment or anything where that was needed. And so it just so happened that when the Rains came, I was on stage with Michael Lang, and Michael said, "Boy, I think we need to have somebody hold them, with an acoustic guitar, because right now we're having trouble putting electricity on the stage." And I said, yeah, I think that's what we need. And then I realized he was looking at me. I said, "Look, I didn't even bring an instrument, and he said, "Well, gee, you have 5 minutes to get one." So,
who did you get the guitar from?
Jimmy Harden.
Wow, that's pretty cool, man. Any cool other encounters over your weekend up there that stick out?
I can't encapsulate 3 days of pretty amazing for you in 5 minutes. I just can't,
I got to see you at I saw you at Woodstock 94 with CSN.
Huh?
Woodstock 94?
Yeah. Do you want me to try to get excited about it?
That wasn't something fun for you?
No, it was sorry ass. It was people trying to make money out of a thing that had originally been unable to make money, and that had been its entire success. Was that it was free.
Why did you do it?
I was there.
For the Woodstock 94, though, I'm saying.
Oh, I was there because they hired me.
Okay. So, and you just did the one thing with CSN at that, yeah?
No, let's see. That one was me and the J Band played on Sunday morning.
Oh, yeah. Same morning.
Very early.
Yeah, I remember Gil Scott-Heron played that morning, too, real early. I'm remembering it. I was there at that thing. That was a crazy weekend. What do you think of the 2 upcoming Woodstock events that are sort of dueling? Live Nation's doing one at the shed that's been built at the original site, and then there's going to be, Michael Lang has said he's doing one at Watkins Glen. What's your thoughts on either?
Well, I'm glad that they exist, and who knows what I'll be called for. You
think you'll be at one of those?
What?
You think you'll be at one of those?
I may be. Listen, I have grandchildren in the room, and I have to stop talking. So, love you guys, and we'll see you at the show.
Okay.